Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to Daily News Analysis of Shankar Academy. Today's date is 15th of February 2024. Displayed here are the articles that we are going to discuss today. So without much delay, let us get into the first news article discussion. Look at this article. This article talks about the effectiveness of COVID vaccine. Generally, influenza vaccines are updated every 6 months to match circulating virus strains. But due to the long development period, there is often a mismatch with the strains in the vaccine by the time it reaches the market. The match between vaccines and circulating strains influences the vaccine's effectiveness. COVID-19 vaccines face similar challenges with varying effectiveness. In this context, let us quickly go through major COVID-19 vaccines in India. See, vaccines are categorized on the basis of the development process adopted by the scientists. So far, there are mRNA vaccines, viral vector vaccines, inactivated vaccines, and spike protein vaccines are available. We shall see them one by one. See, the messenger RNA vaccines, also called as mRNA, are created using messenger RNA. It is a single-strand RNA molecule. The mRNA vaccines work by introducing a piece of mRNA into the human body. Here, the mRNA is similar to that of a small piece of protein found on virus outer membrane. By using this mRNA, the cells in our body can produce the viral protein. Subsequently, our immune system recognizes that the protein is foreign and it produces specialized proteins called antibodies. These antibodies in turn will help to protect the body against infection by recognizing the individual virus or pathogens. The COVID vaccines such as Pfizer and Moderna are some of the examples of mRNA vaccines. Secondly, the viral vector vaccines use a modified versions of a different virus as a vector to deliver protection. Different viruses have been used as a vectors, which includes influenza, measles virus, and adenovirus that are known to cause common cold. Adenovirus is one of the viral vectors used in some COVID-19 vaccines. The COVID-19 vaccines such as Sputnik 5, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca are some of the examples of viral vector vaccines. Thirdly, inactivated vaccine. See, these vaccines are created by inactivating a pathogen using heat or chemical such as formaldehyde or formalin. This process destroys the pathogen's ability to replicate. However, the process keeps the bacteria or virus intact, so the immune system of our body can still recognize the virus or bacteria and develop antibodies. However, inactivated vaccines tend to provide shorter protection than live vaccines, and they are more likely to require boosters to create long-term immunity. Covaxin is an example of inactivated vaccines and it requires booster shots to generate long-term immunity. Finally, the spike protein vaccines. As you all know, the members of the coronavirus family have sharp bumps that protrude from the surface of their outer envelopes. Those bumps are known as spike proteins. These spike proteins allow the virus to enter the cell in the body so that it can replicate and cause disease. Using the spike protein vaccine, the spike protein alone is given to the body, and the body is expected to develop an immune response against the injected spike protein. Therefore, when the real virus attempts to infect the body, it will already have an immune response ready that will make it unlikely for the person to fall severely ill. Corvax is an example of spike protein vaccine. That's all about the COVID-19 vaccines. With this, let us move on to the next news article discussion. Look at this news article. India's wholesale price index WPI based inflation rate eased to a 3-month low of 0.27% in January. Note that it is primarily due to moderation in the prices of food articles and manufacturing products. See, this is the third consecutive month WPI has remained in a positive territory after recording deflation for the major part of 2023-2024. This is the crux of this article. In this context, first we will learn briefly about inflation, consumer price index, and wholesale price index. First, we will discuss about the inflation. Inflation refers to increase in the prices of goods and services. In other words, we can say that inflation is a condition where the purchasing power of money decreases and the value of goods and services increases. Inflation rate expresses the rate at which the price have been rising, and it is expressed in percentage. CPI and WPI are among few indices used to measure the inflation rate. So now we will discuss about CPI and WPI. So CPI refers to inflation at retail markets, and the data about CPI is compiled by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. The value of CPI is calculated from the increase in prices of basket of goods, which includes foods and beverage, clothing and footwear, housing, etc. The highest weightage among these goods in the basket is given to food and beverages, which accounts for 45.86% of the total weightage. Moving on, Now we shall look at the WPI refers to inflation at wholesale market. The data about WPI based inflation is compiled by the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT. The value of WPI is calculated from the increase in prices of basket of goods, which includes primary articles, fuel and power, and manufactured products. The highest weightage among these goods is given to manufactured products, which accounts for 64.23% of the total weightage. The base year for the calculation of both CPI and WPI is 2011 to 12, and they are released on a monthly basis. One of the important points to note here is that the changes in prices of services like healthcare and banking transactions are taken into account while calculating CPI, and they will not be included in the calculation of WPI. Apart from CPI and WPI, the inflation rates for rural and urban markets are also calculated for the better policy analysis. So in this article, we have seen what is inflation, WPI, CPI, and their differences. With this, let us move on to the next news article. Look at this news article. It talks about the efficacy of the national pension system. It tells that national pension system is one of the most cost-effective retirement products with a prudent risk management framework and close regulatory oversight. Due to various advantages, the assets under management AUM have crossed 10 trillion rupees. This is the crux of this article. In our discussion, let us see about the national pension system. So the national pension system NPS was launched on 1st of January 2004. The objective of this NPS is to provide retirement income to all the citizens. Know that NPS aims to institute pension reforms and to inculcate the habit of saving for retirement amongst the citizens. Initially, NPS was introduced for the new government recruits except armed forces, but from 1st of May 2009, NPS has been provided for all the citizens in the country, including the unorganized sector workers on the voluntary basis. Note that NPS is regulated by Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, PFRDA. Now let us see the important features of NPS to understand it better. Firstly, let us see the eligibility criteria for opening an NPS account. Firstly, he or she must be an Indian citizen. Secondly, they must be between the age of 18 to 65. Thirdly, they should be KYC compliant. Fourthly, they must not have a pre-existing NPS account. Second feature is Unique Permanent Retirement Account Number, PRAN. Let us see the significance of PRAN. See, the PRAN is a unique ID which is allocated to every subscriber. Know that PRAN will be same for every subscriber throughout his or her life. Moreover, understand that PRAN will provide access to two personal accounts. Tier 1 account. This is a non-withdrawable account which is meant for saving for retirement. Tier 2 account. This is simply a voluntary saving facility. The subscriber is free to withdraw savings from his account whenever he or she wishes. No tax benefits is available on this account. Now let us see the benefits of NPS. Firstly, NPS is a transparent and cost-effective system wherein the pension contributions are invested in the pension fund schemes, and the employee will be able to know the value of investments on a daily basis. Secondly, NPS is a simple system. This is because all the subscribers have to just open an account with his or her nodal office and get a permanent retirement account number, PRAN. Thirdly, NPS is portable in nature. This is all about the National Pension Scheme. With this, let us move on to the next news article. Look at this news article. It talks about the documents which was obtained by an RTI activist regarding the 2019 Lok Sabha polls. It revealed that there was a high rate of failures of parts of EVM machines in the first level check. The first level check is the first examination of EVM machines, including the ballot paper, control unit, and voter verified paper audit trail. It is conducted 6 months before the elections at the district level. Engineers perform the FLC under the supervision of District Election Officer, DEO. If any part malfunctions during the check, it is sent back to the manufacturers for the repair. The manufacturer of EVM is Bharat Electronics Limited. During the previous Lok Sabha elections, there were instances of EVMs breaking down during the polling process, causing political controversy and uproar. If any malfunction is detected during the FLC, the affected EVM parts are returned to the manufacturers. This is for the necessary repairs before being used in the actual election. EVM failures during polling can have a significant political implications as they can lead to doubts and controversies in the electoral process. Ensuring the reliability of EVMs is crucial for maintaining public trust and confidence in the electoral system. Now, we shall approach this topic with the help of mains question and do answer writing practice. Look at the question. Analyze the issues related to VVPATs and discuss the measures that should be taken to ensure the reliability and public trust in the future elections. So this topic comes under GS paper 2, and this is a straightforward question. We are going to analyze the issue with the VVPAT machines, and then we will discuss the steps that can be taken to enhance the reliability of elections. Starting with the simple introduction about VVPAT. VVPAT is a system introduced to enhance transparency and integrity of electronic voting process. It provides a paper trail that allows voters to verify that their vote has been correctly recorded by the electronic voting machine. So this can be your introduction. Now moving on to the body part of the answer. Here we are going to discuss about the issues related to VVPAT. First is technical malfunctions. Like any electronic system, VVPAT machine can experience technical glitches or malfunctions, leading to errors in the paper trail. Issues such as paper jams, printing errors, and calibration problems may also occur. So it potentially affects the accuracy and reliability of VVPAT system. Second one is limited verification period. Voters are allowed only a limited time, usually 7 seconds, to verify their vote on VVPAT slip. This short duration may not be sufficient for some voters, like those with visual or cognitive impairments. Third is voter awareness. Many voters may not be adequately aware of the purpose and the importance of verifying their vote through the VVPAT system. Lack of awareness can undermine its intended purpose. Fourth one is training and familiarity. Election officials and polling staff need proper training to handle VVPAT and EVM machines effectively. Insufficient training may result in errors during the setup, operation, or troubleshooting of the VVPAT system. Fifthly, storage and transportation issues. Safeguarding EVMs and VVPAT during the storage and transportation is crucial to prevent tampering. Incidents of mishandling or theft have also been reported. This raises a question about the overall security and integrity of the election process. Lastly, about the cost efficiency. Implementing VVPAT system involves additional costs for purchasing, maintaining, and operating the machines. Some critics argue that the financial burden associated with the VVPAT implementation may be a concern for resources-constrained election authorities. Some critics argue that the financial burden associated with VVPAT implementation may be a concern for election authorities. So this can be your first part. Now we shall discuss the second part of the answer, which is the measures to be taken to enhance the reliability of the electoral process. Firstly, democratizing the elections. In a democracy, we need to ensure equality among all the parties and conduct free and fair elections. The Election Commission of India should make sure that one party does not have an undue advantage over another just because it is in power. Secondly, no voter should be left behind. Apart from conducting free and fair polls, the Election Commission should take steps to ensure participative, accessible, and inclusive elections. Thirdly, enforcing moral code of conduct. There is a need to enforce moral code of conduct to guide the political parties and the candidates. This should be provided with the statutory backing in order to prevent the manipulation of voter behavior. Fourthly, to address the issues of technical malfunctions, Election Commission of India need to ensure regular maintenance of the machines. It should establish a system of routine maintenance and testing to identify and address any defects in a timely manner. We should also include the recommendations of Law Commission in this answer. Law Commission in its 255th report on electoral reform said that a permanent and independent secretariat should be established for the Election Commission of India along the lines of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha secretariat. Furthermore, the state election commissions can also be provided with similar provisions to guarantee their autonomy and fairness. Finally, there is a need for ongoing research and development in the field of electronic voting. New technologies and innovations should be explored to improve the accuracy, security, and transparency of the electoral process. With this, we have completed the body part. Now, let us see the conclusion. Ultimately, voters need to be educated regarding the significance of their vote. They should be made aware and well informed about the candidate they seek to. Overall, it is clear that electoral reform is necessary in order to address the challenges related to elections in India and ensure that electoral process is conducted in fair and transparent manner. So this can be your conclusion. With this, let us move on to the next news article discussion. Look at this news article. Recently, Tamil Nadu government introduced 2 resolutions in the assembly. One is to oppose the planned delimitation of constituencies in 2026. Second is to disagree with the centre's One Nation, One Election initiative. These resolutions came a few days after PM Modi's statement. He said there are efforts to divide the country along north-south lines. So in this context, let us understand the process of delimitation and various issues with it. First, let us see what is delimitation is. See, basically, delimitation is the process of redrawing the boundaries of Lok Sabha and state assembly constituencies based on the recent census. So this is to ensure that each seat has an almost equal number of voters. Note that the last delimitation exercise took place in 1976. The boundaries were drawn on the basis of 2001 census. However, the number of Lok Sabha and state assembly seats remained frozen on the basis of 1971 census. Now let us see the constitutional provision behind it. Article 82 speaks about the delimitation of Lok Sabha seats. It says that Parliament is empowered to readjust the allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha and the division of each state into territorial constituencies after every census. This is done by enacting a delimitation act after every census. So, after the commencement of the delimitation act, the central government constitutes a delimitation commission, and this will demarcate the boundaries of parliamentary constituencies. So, this is about the delimitation of Lok Sabha elections. Similarly, Article 170 speaks about the delimitation of state legislative assembly in the states. So, it says that Parliament is empowered to readjust the total number of seats in the legislative assembly of each state and the division of each state into territorial constituencies after every census. So both the delimitation exercise is performed by the Delimitation Commission constituted based on the Delimitation Act by the Parliament. Also know that central government has set up the Delimitation Commissions in 1952, 1962, 1972 and 2002 under the respective Delimitation Commissions Act for the readjustment of Lok Sabha seats. However, the delimitation process in India has faced several issues and challenges. We will see them one by one. First, we shall see why the delimitation is based on the 1971 census. See, the reason for fixing 1971 census data was due to the imbalances in the population growth between northern and southern states. Even after the 2002 delimitation, the concerns about population imbalance persisted. So it was decided the first census after 2026 will be used for the delimitation. Statistical data show that northern states like Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar have decennial growth rates of 12% to 15%, whereas in the southern states, the growth rates range between 6% to 10%. So it is presumed that after 2026, the population leveling will take place. Another issue is that there will be a resistance from regions that will lose seats after the delimitation due to their comparatively lower population growth. So delimitation can be highly politicized because political parties can attempt to manipulate the process to their advantage. Incumbent parties in the power might try to redraw the boundaries in a way that favors their electoral prospects. It leads to gerrymandering. Here the term gerrymandering simply means manipulating the boundaries of constituencies to create favorable electoral outcomes. It is important to note that India's diverse cultural and linguistic landscape complicates the delimitation process. Political parties often advocate for creation of constituencies based on ethnic, linguistic or religious identities, which can lead to tensions and conflicts. There is also a fear among political parties that migration between states might impact the electoral politics after the delimitation. The next issue is that delimitation requires accurate and up-to-date data on population demographies, but the central government is delaying the process of census, which may have an impact on delimitation process. The states that may lose representation could be unhappy, and there is a significant presence of regional party in many states. Therefore, the delimitation process could have significant political consequences and must be approved with caution. Despite these challenges, delimitation is a crucial aspect of maintaining a robust democratic system in India. It seeks to uphold the principle of one person, one vote and ensure that every citizen's voice is heard and represented fairly in the legislative bodies. So in this discussion, we have seen about the delimitation process, its constitutional provisions, and finally, what are the challenges ahead of delimitation. That's all about this discussion. So let us solve this previous year question. The first statement is, the weightage of food in CPI is higher than WPI. Yes, this statement is correct. From our discussion, we know that food holds the highest weightage in the calculation of CPI, but also know that the weightage of food in the CPI is higher than that of WPI. The second statement is, the WPI does not capture the changes in the price of services, which CPI does. Yes, this statement is also correct because the changes in prices of service are taken into account only in the calculation of CPI. And the third statement says, Reserve Bank of India has now adopted WPI as the key measure of inflation and to decide on changing the key policy rates. This statement is incorrect because RBI adopted CPI as a key measure of inflation as per the recommendations of Urjit Patel Committee. So the first and second statements are correct. Third statement is incorrect. So the correct answer is option A. So in this question, they're asking about inactivated vaccines. The first statement is it tend to provide longer protection than live vaccines. This statement is incorrect because live vaccines give longer protection than the inactivated vaccines. So it does not, and the second statement is it does not require booster shots. This statement is also incorrect. Since live vaccine provide protection for shorter duration, it requires booster shots. So the second statement is incorrect. The third statement is COVID shield is an example of inactivated vaccine. This statement is also incorrect because COVID shield is a viral vector vaccine. So the correct answer is option D. So this is the quiz question for you today. It talks about the National Pension Scheme. Have a look and try to answer it in the comment section. Displayed here is the mains practice question for you today. Understand the question and try to answer it in the comment section. With this, we are coming to the end of this news article discussion. If you like the video, do like, share and subscribe to Shankar AIS Academy. Thank you so much for watching.